Russell Westbrook. We all think that he is going to be traded from the Los Angeles Lakers this season, whether it's to the Jazz, the Knicks, the Pacers, whatever deal ends up happening. The thought process is Russell Westbrook's time with the Lakers is done, right? All the writing is on the walls. I mean, even Russ went and got a new agent who is known for getting max buyouts for players, because any team he goes to via trade from the Lakers means he's going to get bought out and then he'll land wherever team he lands. Well, it appears that Jeanie Buss, the owner of the Los Angeles Lakers, did an interview with GQ and relayed some very interesting information, or lack thereof. So what I mean is this. Buss said, "We changed coaches, so that's a new voice, and we are continuing to hopefully stay injury-free. We want to see Anthony Davis stay on the floor and be healthy the whole season, and when you have Anthony and LeBron, there's a lot of great things that can happen." She also continued later in this interview, but you have to have a supporting cast of players that can fill roles and also stay injury-free. Buss added, "We have Kendrick Nunn coming back after missing last season, and a lot of young players that I can name names, but until we see how they play, there really isn't. We have to give Darvin Ham all of the time and resources he needs to put the team together to see how they move forward." So Jeanie Buss in this interview is talking about how, LeBron and Anthony Davis, they're the duo that can, you're never out of the season. You're never out of a game. You're never out of the playoffs. They were both that good. Mentioned Kendrick Nunn as a returning asset, which I am extremely high on Nunn. I've been a huge advocate and supporter and even defender of Kendrick Nunn here on this channel. But beyond that, the interesting thing is, you don't see any mention of Russell Westbrook. And they obviously acquired Patrick Beverley, and Patrick Beverley is a great trade. But we've all kind of said, the trade doesn't really make sense unless the Lakers are going to make some other trade. And the idea is, again, Patrick Beverley comes to the Lakers, thus making Russ expendable. Beyond that, we also have too many guards, just small guards and point guards in general, besides LeBron James, who's going to be, primary ball handler 99% of the time and is going to run as point on most of the occasions. Now, this could be absolutely nothing. It could just be, she's doing the interview, just talking about, her two stars in LeBron and Davis, and then just, mentioning the role guys, role players, and mentions Kendrick Nunn. But it's just interesting that there was no mention of Russell Westbrook. And I'm not saying that she has to, or that, maybe the conversation even brought up to it, but he is currently their third star. He is their most notable player besides Davis and LeBron. Patrick Beverley, she didn't touch on that, but that interview, we don't know exactly when that, usually those interviews happen, weeks earlier, sometimes even days earlier. So maybe the Patrick Beverley trade hadn't happened at that point. But Jeanie would know what's going on behind the scenes, right? No matter what, she's the owner. She's going to approve things. She's going to say yes or no to certain things. And therefore, she would know what is going to happen with Russ. She would know if Russ is going to be on this roster or he's going elsewhere. I just think Russell Westbrook, if you're talking about your team and your improvements and just Darvin Ham and stuff, we've seen Darvin Ham speak extremely highly of Russ. Now, that could also just simply be because he's the coach, and if he has to coach Russell Westbrook, then, you want to speak highly of him. You want him to buy in. You want him to believe in the system. You want him to believe in you as a coach. You don't want to end up, rubbing him the wrong way, and now you got this Vogel Russ situation all over again. But the fact that all of the people that make the decisions of this roster just continuously seem to be leaving Russ out of the conversation. And it's at some point, it seems like it's deliberate, Again, this could just be nothing. This could just be something, she's just talking in general and throwing stuff out. And as you saw in the actual interview, it looks like she catches herself a couple times. And maybe that doesn't necessarily mean that he's definitely going to be traded, but just in the possibility that he is, you don't want to make that mention, right? You don't want to say, Russ, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, the three of them are going to figure it out, and they're going to finally make it work, and hopefully they'll have more time together on the court, and this, that, and the other. Especially when you mention about health and needing guys that can play games. Russ played every game for you last season except for the games that you purposely sat him out. So if anybody was going to show up, if anyone was going to play all of those games, it would be Russell Westbrook. I just feel like reading that you could see several moments in which she could have easily mentioned Russ, and almost like she's talking about a player of Russ, but didn't mention Russ at all. And it's like, does that mean he's really going to be traded? And look, I really do believe Russ is traded. I've even talked about how I don't think that they can pull a John Wall on Russell Westbrook. I just don't think you can. Just because, one, the Lakers aren't good enough to do that. Two, like, you got to at least try to make it work. Russ was just, the fit isn't there, but hopefully Darvin Ham can run him in a way that can put him in position to be successful and to at least be more efficient. Like if he could turn down on the turnovers and put up like the stats that he put up last year, but in a more efficient manner. I mean, the guy averaged 18, 7, and 7. Again, it was extremely inefficient, 18, 7, and 7. But if he could get that stat line and be operated as the sixth man, you got to start him for his ego and stuff like that, because you don't want him, causing a fit, causing a mess. But if you can kind of like sprinkle him and LeBron and kind of, separate their minutes as Frank Vogel should have done, obviously you want them to play some time on the court together, but they shouldn't be playing the entire game together. Like the whole reason you got Russell Westbrook was to alleviate LeBron. So when LeBron misses a game or he's just out resting on the bench or whatever, you have Russ to carry the load. That never really happened with Frank Vogel. But Russ also needs to be more efficient. He needs to cut down on the turnovers. He needs to make his layups and his dunks and stuff. Like, how many times do we see him miss those? I just think the more we get closer to training camp, the more and more it just looks like the writing's on the wall. That it just looks like the front office is doing everything they can to kind of like get rid of Russ and trade Russ. And we're seeing, all of the, again, Jeanie Buss, we're seeing, Rob Pelinka, like these people are all talking about not Russ, right? They're talking about everyone else but Russ. And even LeBron with his tweet, like he says, like, I can't wait till he balls out. But there's no mention of the Lakers. There's no mention of like, oh, I can't wait till we run it back and, Russ proves you wrong. Or, I can't wait till he balls out for our team and shuts up all the haters or whatever. Like LeBron was like, yeah, like I want to see Russ ball. I want to see Russ, be Russell Westbrook and be that dude, but, not on the Lakers. That's kind of how that tweet seemed, at least to me. It seemed like he was just like, yeah, wherever he ends up, and it's just like all of these little like tiny clues and like breadcrumbs are like, yeah, Russell Westbrook is gone. Hate to break it to you, but he's leaving, and Jeanie's kind of going, dodging the Russell Westbrook mention and stuff. I just think, again, the writing's on the wall. I hope that they don't sit him because, like I said, you got to at least make it work. But anyway, as always, those are my thoughts and opinions, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think of Jeanie Buss's comments? Do you think in this interview, do you think that she... Yeah, it kind of like, why wouldn't you mention Russ? You mentioned Davis, you mentioned LeBron, you even brought up Kendrick Nunn, which mentioning Kendrick Nunn makes a lot of sense. It's almost like a new acquisition, right? The Lakers got him last year, but he missed the whole year with injury. So he's hopefully going to be a real bright spot. I mean, the dude was a 20-point per game scorer as a starting point guard for the Miami Heat. The dude is a baller, and he has it in him to be great, to be successful. If he can kind of get back to being the Kendrick Nunn of old, or, before he got hurt, dude was like a 38% three-point shooter, got you, 15 to 18 to upping it to 20 plus in the playoffs and stuff. So he's not afraid of the big moment. All of those things I think are really huge. And he could easily be our third guy on this team, on the roster. But, you need to see what happens with Westbrook, and I just think it's odd that she wouldn't at least throw his name out there, especially with everything that's going on, all of the rumors, all of the talks, all of the reports, you name it. That would have been a real opportunity for her to kind of at least just mention. I mean, even if he gets traded, you still could have mentioned, hey, yeah, and whatever happens with Russell Westbrook, or Russell Westbrook also, being a guy that can play every game, blah, 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 blah. But, also you don't want the backlash of like, you say that, and then a day later he's traded. That could end up being something different as well. But anyway, again, however you feel about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.